indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Please be seated. You've had to be living in a vacuum if you didn't know that a very popular person from town passed away, and I've asked Councilman King to say a few words.
Good evening. I would like to briefly talk about someone that most of us, if not all of us here, know, and a person who's near and dear to our heart, Sergeant Sanders H. Matthews Sr. Was born in 1921 and lived to be 95 years old. Very, very historical life that he was able to live. You know, he served in the military, and of course that was his passion as a young man to join the military, but he served in the military in what I consider two famous units, most of which people don't know. So we know that he was a Buffalo soldier stationed here at West Point, which is pretty historical, but he also was part of an organization called the 555th Airborne Infantry, which was an all-black airborne unit at Fort Bragg, North Carolina during World War II. So it's not very common that one person would serve in these two units. So that was pretty significant in his military background. But then to most of us that grew up here, like myself, I didn't know much about Sergeant Matthews as a soldier when I was growing up. I knew he was a police officer that would tell me to get home before it gets dark. And so that was pretty significant to me, not realizing at the time that he was the first black police officer ever to be hired here in Highland Falls. So a lot of contributions. You know, he went on after his time as a police officer, after retiring, to go ahead and work back at West Point as a government employee driving buses. So many of the cadets that came through there for a number of years were touched by Sergeant Matthews, and many of them are senior officers now, generals even, that met him when they were cadets. And they talk fondly of how he touched them and how he would give them words of encouragement and various things. So you're talking about a man that truly, in my mind, was a legend. And so he leaves his loving wife, Miss Cora Matthews, who just had her 98th birthday on Saturday, behind, and she's still going strong, by the way. So I would just like to say, if you didn't get a chance to attend any of the events that were taking place last week to honor him, what I'd ask you to do that just for a moment of silence for Sergeant Matthews. Thank you.
I went to a groundbreaking ceremony across the street for the new visitor center, and General Castleton started off the program by saying, "Welcome to the home of the undefeated Army football team." Sadly enough, a shroud has fallen over that excitement and that jubilee. But the passing of Brandon Jackson, a cadet driving back here, had some sort of a car accident and passed away. He was one of the starting players on that team. I'm sure a lot of the gloss of the winning has fallen off of the team, but knowing cadets still survive. So just keep in mind this young cadet that passed away. Public comment. Anybody have any public comment? The ambulance corps is here for a reason. Chris, come on up.
Well, I see on the agenda today that the board is going to vote on the LoSAP program to change the timelines.
No, we're not going to vote on it.
No. You're going to vote to allow us to have a referendum and let the taxpayers decide, and we have a time limit that it has to be voted on in 60 days and whatever in order to get it to the general election.
Turn that over to Justin, yes.
I'd just like to say, the ambulance corps has never been greedy. We've never hit you with a whiffing budget. I came in on the ground floor of the LoSAP. The town board hasn't funded it properly. They actually didn't fund it at all, other than pay expenses for like 8 years between 2001, they made a full payment, and 2010, they decided, oh, there's something wrong here. And that's why the payments each year right now are a little higher, because they're amateurized to make up for the 8 or 9 years the town didn't contribute anything other than the people were collecting. When the LoSAP was voted in by the taxpayers in the town, we had 3 people started collecting right from the get-go. They did their 1 year, and then they started getting 6 years, and they built on them, because they were all over 65. All we're asking for is, right now, we have members that have 17, 18. We have one member is going to turn 20 years this year. He'll have 20 years in the LoSAP. He's 55 years old. And it's not that anybody joins an emergency services organization in order to get these, because everybody in this ambulance corps was, well, in the corps before we even had LoSAP. So it's not for the money, but it's just, here's a guy who's going to be 55 years old, have his 20 years, and he can't collect anything until he's 65. And he can just quit and freeze it and do nothing for 10 years and collect the same amount of money when he turns 65. We only have about 17, 18 riding members, not counting the paid. We cover this town 365 days a year, 24/7. We are 99.9% first rig out, and probably 92, 93% second rig out for the town. When I was on the board, it used to be on the second of the last page of the budget, the town budget, as far as what each department costs per thousand to the taxpayers. And I don't know what it says this year, but it used to be the Fort Montgomery Light District was the cheapest. And then came the ambulance corps, which is basically in the A budget because we cover the town and the village. We do generate some income. I think that in last year's budget bill, there's $133,000 that the town put in our budget as anticipated revenue to offset the taxes to the taxpayers. I know working with Hometown Insurance, I call up down there, Fred Stahl or Sue or Barbara or Donna, and they say, oh, we already talked to Kelly about it. Don't worry about it, Chris. So I understand this whole extended of 10 years so we can earn $20 a year per year served, and we want it to go from 20 years to 30 years. The benefit going from $400 total dollars if you serve 20 years to $600 total dollars if you serve 30 years. At a cost to the town right now of, I believe, somewhere between $3,500 to $4,000 a year. And just to remind the board, all we're asking for is to please pass the referendum that we can put it on and let the voters of the town of Highlands decide if we're deserving of it or not. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Any other comment? Ty, are you up to snuff with what the LoSAP is and what they get and what have you?
Not familiar with the term LoSAP.
Basically, actually, what do the initials stand for?
Length of Service Award Program.
There you go, Length of Service Award Program. Right now, they have a length of service, it's at 20 years. And for each year, it's $20 a year upon the age of 65, retirement. They get that. We do this through an insurance company, and we pay a premium to the insurance company for the LoSAP. And if I'm saying anything wrong here, please, somebody correct me. Now, the premium right now is what, Kelly, about 4,500 or
Yeah.
4,000?
35,000. Yes.
35,000.
Yes.
Oh, okay. And if we go to the extending them 10 more years, it would go up about $3,000.
Right.
Correct?
Correct.
Okay, so what we can do is, Justin's going to give me the correct dates, but we have to put this on a ballot. It has to be voted on by the voters at the general election. So what we do is we vote to put it on the ballot, and then the people vote yea or nay on it. So, did I say that correctly? And Ty, do you have any other questions on it?
Supervisor, I just wanted to make one comment, which I think that time period that you were talking about that we didn't pay, I don't think that was our fault.
No.
And that was because it wasn't billed
No.
properly or
That
something,
was-
right? Okay. I just wanted to mention that
Right.
to the,
And actually,
viewers.
No, this goes back. Oh, that old.
yeah, it goes way
But-
back.
but the point I was trying to make is that those missing 8 years, and as much as my fault, because, but we used to come up here and Billy would say, rest his soul, how much do you want to put in the budget for the LoSAP? And we'd be told, oh, don't worry about it, we're taking care of it.
Gotcha.
You know, but the reason it's like 35,000 now is because they're amateurizing over, I think, 12 years, and probably with this new 3,000 one, they stretch it out to 15 years to make up for that money. Eventually, this is supposed to be a self-sustaining program where all these contributions, they send out the checks to the people that are getting them, and the rest are invested in fixed annuities or fixed investments. And eventually, supposedly, and I haven't heard of any one of them that is paid off yet, the interest earned will pay for the benefits for the members as they retire.
Chris, some of that money that we didn't pay, we'll say, they're not charging us for it. They're just letting it go. So,
So the premium of roughly $35,000 a year is not going to decrease by much if it decreases at all.
It's going to increase.
No, yes, if we adopt the extra 10 years. But
Right.
I mean, the $35,000 we're paying now is going to continue. It's not going to decrease because of the bills that we did not, that were not submitted to us for payment.
yeah. That's what they told you, right? That we don't owe them the past.
Correct.
We're just moving
All
forward.
right, so it's going to be $35,000 moving forward, depending on the amount of people that are enrolled in the program. So at 17 people and $35,000, if it were to double, if it were to encourage more people to join the ambulance corps, then that $35,000 premium would increase.
Yes.
Okay.
And Justin, the dates that we have to,
The dates are, so the minimum is 30 days from Election Day,
okay.
right? The maximum is 90, so you're within the window, right? So
So let's put it on the,
by the best decision would be the next board meeting.
yes. And if you would do the
Resolution for that.
resolution?
Correct,
And we'll
and then
put
it gets
with-
published in the paper as well.
Okay.
It's unfortunate that this board just can't pass it because
Yeah.
we just spent 15 minutes discussing it. It's not something somebody walk in a voting booth and make a good decision on. So it would be, at least up front, I would vote yes for this. But aside from creating this very critical verbiage that's clear to somebody in an election booth, shall we? And sometimes you're like, does yes mean I'm for it or against it?
Right.
But, that's,
It's got to be right.
that's the
Right,
first, yeah.
And then, Chris, you guys are going to have to do your job prior to the election, come to us and tell us why it's important for you, and to go to the village board and tell them why it's important. That way you get the...
Or a letter to Mary Jane, or,
Yeah.
something to, get the facts out there, so,
understand that. What we're asking for is the opportunity to allow us to do that.
Yeah, and we'll do that next meeting. Because there's a very specific resolution that has to be drawn up, and we
Yeah,
don't
no,
have.
I'll have both the resolution and some proposed referendum or proposition language, which the town clerk will have to also submit to the Board of Elections.
Okay, that's good, we got that done. And approval of the minutes of the August 22nd.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the 22nd.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. August 29th, the minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the 29th.
We're doing the 22nd?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, well, then I have to withdraw my second because I wasn't here for the second. I thought we were only doing the 29th.
Okay, will you pick up her
Yep.
second? Okay. Okay, the 29th.
So moved.
Seconded. You can do the second, June?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Communications, I have a letter from the Orange County Office of Aging. They are going to have the closing ceremony of the Orange County Senior Games on Sunday, September the 18th at 9 a.m. at the day camp area at Thomas Bull Memorial Park in Montgomery. We, as elected officials, are all invited to participate. This is their 33rd anniversary, and more than 3 decades of fitness and fun, and never gets old. Are you participating in that, Ty, or not that old enough yet? Not yet. Okay. Accounts payable, we paid out a total of $116,497, which includes $22,490 for landfill charges, $22,057 for health insurance through MVP, and $25,853 to, I think I've got this mixed up here. $25,853 went for state court fees. I got the numbers wrong on here, guys. $12,450 went to Perillo Electric for sewer main construction. So the numbers on your agenda are wrong. Kelly, how come you didn't see that? Now we have budget transfer requests, and if you'll notice that, we're going to get pressure towards the end of this year. These are not as a result of our being frugal with the budget, but they are necessary. To transfer $10,000 from dial-a-bus full-time driver to dial-a-bus part-time driver. Obviously, we need more money for the part-timers now that we don't have a full-timer. So I'll ask for a motion to make the transfer.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So carried. $350, Superintendent of Highways for a Superintendent of Highways seminar, which he's leaving tomorrow, I think.
So moved.
All in
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So carried. $200 for youth programs contracted to youth program supplies. That's, we needed some more summer playground supplies.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
$500 for other recreation revenue to recreation supplies. This was a $500 donation from Marchese for youth soccer.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Thank you.
Carried. $470 from Water District 2 other expenses to Water District 2 health insurance. I guess you under budgeted the health insurance?
It's a change in non-coverage for one employee.
Okay. Oh, that's right, too.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Carry. $350, other recreation revenue for recreation expenses reimbursed by participants.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So carried. Liaison reports. Start with June, that should be a change.
The chief is here, so I think we'll let him give that when he's
Okay.
ready.
Chief? Okay, I do have something on the agenda for you. Okay, you got out of that one, June. Adrian?
The only thing I just wanted to mention, you will probably talk about it as well, was the Community Engagement Council meeting that we went to on August 31st.
Oh, okay.
Which was, I attended a luncheon hosted by the garrison commander, the new garrison commander. It was the first time I got to meet him, so that was very nice, Colonel Hanson. And they invite local town officials and just general local stakeholders to a luncheon to get on board with just things that are going on post and meet one another, so on and so forth. I actually invited, the supervisor was there, I was there, and I also invited Aaron Falk, our recreation director. I thought it would be a good opportunity. He's doing a really good job with growing some of our programs. So an opportunity for him to meet some additional people, help get the word out about some of the things that we're doing. So he also attended, and I think he thought it was a good opportunity as well. And that's all I got.
What did you leave for me to report on it?
That's, sorry.
Okay.
I figured you could find something to add up.
Well, the only thing I can say is I hope the next time they have one of those meetings, it's in a different location, because it was in an open
Yes.
dining room, and it wasn't close to us, and there was a group of golfers sitting in the near, and they were so loud, it was very difficult to hear the speakers talk, so.
Well, before you decide to move to the other side of the counter here, I'll take the opportunity, since the chief is not speaking,
Oh, okay.
to say that the town police department, under the Chief Quinn's direction, have made several very good arrests lately, and they are combating a problem that exists throughout the United States, drugs. They're very diligently working on that. And the police department is working well, and thank you.
Thank you. Excellent work, actually, excellent work. Bill?
Okay, I had Mike Grant at O&R's email wrong, so finally figured
Okay.
that out, and he and I have been going back and forth on the phone. He left me a detailed voicemail regarding the telephone pole situation. It sounds like, he hasn't clarified that, but just by virtue of the discussion, it sounds like O&R is indeed responsible, once all the utilities are off the poles, to get the, what they call butts pulled out of the ground. So his database shows that there are 5 butts ready in the town to be pulled that they haven't gotten to yet. There are 97 done, and there are 111 that are not ready yet, that Verizon has not gotten off of yet. So those are the numbers, and he agreed that he thought the work stoppage at Verizon had a little bit to do with that. We know that this has been going on a couple of years prior, so that's,
Convenient excuse.
yeah, convenient excuse, a good way to put it, so that's where that's at now. He also, I talked to him about the lighting program where municipalities can privatize their overhead lighting. He said he's not aware of any community in the O&R service area that's taken advantage of that, but that Clarkstown might be the first. And he wasn't aware that that firm that had contacted us was doing what they're doing. So whether we want to do that, I'm kind of inclined not to be a poster child on this, and I'm not sure Clarkstown's the best model.
I knew you were the
community.
right person to ask to look into this.
We had consolidation meeting last Thursday. June was at the meeting, and she can correct me if I debrief you wrong on any point here. Basically, we went through what was presented to the community at the prior public meeting. One change that he was going to review with the chief. I'm not sure if he's met with you yet, Tim Wiedemann. He's going to try to hook up with you to, he's going to revise the model, meet with the chief to see what issues the chief might have with it. But right now, the model that was shown to the public called for 8 full-time employees. What the village is looking for now is 4 to 5. One of their full-timers is on duty overseas for a year, so they expect there might be some attrition in that time period. So let's say 4 to 5 is the model Bill's working on instead of 8. That's where the numbers were. There were discussions surrounding $400,000 that would come from the state that could be applied to infrastructure such as repainting police cars and such. But one of the big ticket items there was the thought amongst the committee that a dedicated police station courthouse would be a good investment along those lines. It sounds like the mayor, at least, would like to get out of Village Hall eventually entirely, so that he was advocating that might be the best location for it. It talked about the elementary school on Mountain Avenue. He felt that, and some other people in the room felt that was not a good location, as many of the people you bring into court are not allowed to be that close to a middle school, and that police cars speeding out on a call that's just not a good location. After hearing that kind of input, I tended to agree. But he did talk about bumping out this building. We talked about making this building dedicated and perhaps finding new home, be cheaper to find administrative space than specialized police space, and that this building is already percentage there. But it's all very preliminary, high-level discussion along those lines there. The next meeting is October 13th for the team, and another, all-hands public meeting hasn't been set yet.
Is the meeting you just had, is there any sort of minutes or anything where people can find out what was discussed, like you just gave us a report?
Well, I think, beyond what I told you, I don't think there'll be that level of detail minutes. I think the conclusion will be summarized in the next published public meeting. I'd have to see what they have a website where all the materials are posted.
That's where I'm at.
Yeah. So and you can link to that through the village website is the easiest way, rather than me reciting that website address. I think that's all I have.
Thank you. Councilman King.
Yes, once again, good evening. As sad as it was that we said goodbye to Sergeant Matty Matthews, there was some exciting things in reference to his vision for the future legacy of the Buffalo Soldiers. So the supervisor and I attended the Buffalo Soldier Memorial at West Point on Sunday, the 4th of September, where the guest speaker was Lieutenant General Caslin. And we were informed at that event that the monument that Sergeant Matthews had worked so hard to have erected is going to become a reality. The general mentioned that it has been approved, and they're moving towards a 2017 unveiling of the actual monument. But what they did do at this particular event was unveil the design. And so there is a design. It is a Buffalo Soldier upon a horse. They currently have a rock on Buffalo Soldier Field that's been serving as the monument that will be incorporated into the future monument. And so that was very exciting for the both of us to attend. Additionally, they had the Buffalo Soldier banquet at Eisenhower Hall on West Point later that day that was also exciting. The guest speaker for that event was Lieutenant General Mark Hertling, retired, who is currently a CNN analyst, and he came in to lend his support to this whole Buffalo Soldier weekend. Dr. Andrea Matthews, who's also a longtime resident of Highland Falls, was the person that led that effort. And the supervisor and I was at attendance representing the town of Highlands. It was very well attended, probably close to 200 people or so. Had some of the young people, I believe, from our high school, the junior ROTC, and as well as another group of ROTC cadets from Albany, came all the way as far as Albany. And so these young people, as well as cadets from West Point, got a chance to interact with another living, remaining Buffalo Soldier who's based out of, now he was never stationed at West Point, but he is a resident of New York. He's down in, if I'm not mistaken, he's from Harlem, that came up, and they got a chance to interact with him. So it was very well attended. Last thing I'd like to mention is that I was able to mobilize some folks to do some volunteer work in voting district number 2. And what we did is get out to see some of the elders in the community, particularly some of the folks who have been shut in, hadn't been out much, and just went over to say hello and present some of them with some small flowers. And it was well received by these folks. And so what my intent is to do once a month, some kind of version of that in various districts throughout the town and the village. It's just a matter of just going out to say hello and checking on folks to see how they're doing, because many of which haven't been out in a while. That's all I got.
Nice, that's a lot. That's a lot. Nice. Very nice. Yesterday, I went to the 911 service down in Fort Montgomery at the site, and it was very, very nice. All you guys were there, I'm pretty sure. All the ambulance corps was there, firemen, police. Very well put together program, very organized. Took maybe half an hour to 45 minutes at the most, but it was done so well and so nice that even though it was a very short program, I'm sure people walked away from the program remembering what had taken place. Just briefly on the visitor center over there, I was kind of encouraged to tell people that that is not taxpayer money. It's all donated money from the association, what do they call it, the
AOG.
AOG, from the AOG.
Association Graduates.
They told us, well, actually, most of the people that different things were going to be named for were there. I was kind of proud, the fact that they listed probably at least a dozen retired and active duty generals and Supervisor Bob Livesey, Town of Highlands. I thought that was pretty cool. I had a seat with my name on it. General Pete Dawkins was standing in the background. So I thought that was pretty nice, and I felt very proud of myself and our town. Okay, that's it on reports. Mr. Attorney, do you have anything for us?
Nothing that we're not discussing on the agenda.
Okay, Kelly, do you have anything for us? No. And Chief? You have any, oh, you didn't want to say anything, so we'll wait till it comes up on the agenda. I have a letter from, let's see, is that the next thing? Yeah, Vision. Winterfest. We get one cool day, and now they're looking for Winterfest already. That's amazing here. But anyway, they want to have Winterfest on Saturday, December the 3rd, requesting permission to use Memorial Park on that day from 2 p.m. to approximately 7 p.m. In case of inclement weather, they want the next day, same hours. And they figure Santa Claus will be there at 4 o'clock. Let us know if this will be granted as soon as possible, so arrangements can be made. I need a motion to allow Vision to use Winterfest. Use the park for Winterfest.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, June, would you notify, I'll give you this letter, and would you notify them that they will need an additionally insured policy and to be sure to include the village on their policy. And recommend that they also get permission from the village since we kind of share the park. Okay? Okay, Brooks's Lake Community Development Grants, the bids. We received the bids, and the bids were, to say the least, much higher than we anticipated. They range from $260,000 to $150,000. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bids, 5, 6, 7 bids. Should I read them all, or?
No, it's not necessary to read them all. Well, I'm assuming you're
But I'm
not
gonna
taking
rec-
action, you're
I'm
just
gonna-
describing the
I'm
process.
going to recommend
correct?
to the town board that we refuse all bids.
Correct.
And the reason for that, by the way, is we have $50,000 to spend.
So we'll need a motion.
I'll ask a motion to,
I'll make a motion to reject the bids as submitted.
okay.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. June, one more job. Would you notify everyone that we've rejected their bids? Okay, on the same vein, Brooks's Lake Park, I talked with Mr. Fusco, who's the engineer of the job, and I suggested to him that I would like to see, at the very least, a drinking fountain put in and a cement pad put for the handicapped potties. The other stuff was kind of like pie in the sky type of a thing, and maybe one year when community development's got a little bit more money, we can get that done. The other project was to run a road all the way up to the top of the hill, which I think was the main reason for all the bids being that high. I did explain to our engineer that the town has no more money for him for this project, and he told me that would not be a problem. So, with the permission of the board, I'm going to ask him to go ahead with community development and submit a new plan and new bid for basically just a water fountain and a cement pad for porta potties, handicapped porta potties.
And at no further costs.
Yes, from him, yes,
Right.
of course. And by the way, drinking fountain, I looked in a couple catalogs. They're, what we want is about $6,000 or $7,000. They're not cheap themselves, the fixtures themselves, and probably another few $1,000s to put them in. But that'd be nice to have one down there, and the location would be somewhere in the neighborhood behind the backstop on the softball field. So I'll ask for a motion to go ahead with a new bid.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, so carried. LoSAP, we've already talked about, and we'll have it on the agenda for next meeting. Dog control, chief, finally you're on.
Thanks. So I'm just trying to look up my email to you.
Oh, I got it right here if you want to.
Okay.
If you want it. Here, you want it?
I was just trying to refresh my memory about the amount of money we were talking about in total. Good evening, supervisor, members of the board, members of the public. So just to brief the rest of the board, I had a very brief conversation with the supervisor and Councilperson Gunza on a situation I'm trying to get resolved. We have one dog control officer. We have 2 slots. We've advertised for the second, but we've been unable to fill the second position. So we've been going with one part-time dog control officer. And we've been providing 24/7 service. So how do we do that? Not just smoke and mirrors, but a lot of volunteering. We've been getting by, and I'm trying to remedy that situation. So basically, we have one part-time dog control officer who's putting 20 hours a week in, and she's busy. We have to maintain the kennel. We have investigations that she does. She conferences with the town attorneys over cases, and carries on other duties that pretty much takes up the bulk of her 20 hours a week. So in addition to that, we have been searching for a second dog control officer, which we had budgeted, but to no avail. We weren't successful at that. So the service we've been providing is kind of call-out service. So anytime there's a need for dog control in the village or the town, we have asked the village to comply, and generally they have followed this. If there's a loose dog or a dog complaint, they send a patrol officer over there, and they confirm that the dog is there physically. Then we call out dog control, and she goes and takes action. So the problem is outside of that 20 hours, we're not compensating her. Well, we're not paying her an hourly rate. There is some language that she has agreed to, and I believe it's an informal language. And that is that if she does take control of a loose dog or an aggressive dog, we bill the owner, if the owner can be found, we bill in to the fines a $25 fee that hopefully she is able to take and compensate for her time. But the bottom line is she's working for free, and we can't have that. I don't believe the board is aware of that or would approve of that any member of the town is asked to work for free. So we've looked into, or I've looked into the most recent budget printout for dog control, and it looks like there's possibly going to be about $2,500 in the personal services line left over. So, what are we talking about in terms of how much time are we talking about? I would suspect on a busy week we're talking maybe 2 to 4 hours at a $12 an hour rate. So what I'm asking for is the ability to compensate her for no more than 29 hours a week, which is what we can legally give her, if she works that much. So I'm asking for round numbers, billing in quarter-hour increments. So if at 2 o'clock in the morning she gets called out of her bed to handle a call, and it's 1 hour, it's 1 hour. If it's 45 minutes, we're going to round it off. And we've already done 18 billing periods, I believe, so the remainder is another 7, maybe 8 pay periods left at maybe $100 a pay period, or $100 a week, if that. A small amount of money, and it is in the budget. So in addition to the payment for her services, I'd like to continue keeping that $25 vouchered in. It's something, but who wants to get up and there's plenty of calls, 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning about barking dogs. People just don't care. They let their dog out on a chain before they go to work at 4 or 5 in the morning, and the dog is barking, and we get a call, and the dog control gets called out, and we're out there. So if it's called out to just witness an event, she's getting $6 for being woken up at 3 o'clock in the morning. So I'm asking for your guidance and support in compensating our dog control person up to 29 hours a week for whatever hours she incurs over the 20 scheduled hours per week.
Okay, the only thing I would add to what you're saying or suggest is you said compensation would be in 15-minute increments. I don't think we do that with anybody. I'd have to say if she goes out for 15 minutes in an hour, it's an hour. Hour and a half, it's 2 hours.
I appreciate that, and I
That's the way
agree
I
with you.
feel. Oh, okay. So anyway, other than that, I'm not even sure if the board has to approve going to the 29 hours, which are not really, does the salary schedule say 20 hours?
Yes.
The salary schedule doesn't have hours on it.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's the job description that specifies the hours, right?
Right.
From the county.
But the
right?
budget is for 20.
Okay, well, anyway, then I'll ask the board for a motion to allow the chief's suggestion of retaining the $25 dollars per seized canine, allowing...
Can I just make one comment,
Huh?
Supervisor? I'm sorry, I just
Well,
want...
let me make the motion,
Oh,
and
I'm
and
sorry.
then on the motion, you can make a comment. And then that she could work no more than 9 hours in any given week at increments of 1 hour, up to 29 hours. So, because I'll make that into a form of motion, so nobody has to go through that. Would anybody like to second that motion?
Yeah, I'll second it.
Okay, Bill seconded it. Now,
Oh,
on
yeah.
the motion.
Okay, so, no, I just wanted to say to the chief that I thoroughly appreciate this, because I have not, I think as everyone knows, I always hated the idea of the second dog control officer. So I think this makes perfect sense, and I appreciate, using that extra fundage wisely. And she deserves to get compensated for those extra hours, so I think that this is a very smart move. So, aye.
Thank you. No, okay, on the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Adrian is aye, June?
Aye.
Aye, Bob, aye, we got it.
All right, thank you very much.
Okay, I have I have a request from the highway superintendent, if you will. I have 2 grave sites that the owners of the double plots located at Eagle Valley Cemetery are of no longer use to them. And they're requesting a buyback from the town of Highlands, and I have the original receipts for which they purchased the grave plots, which is $1,530. So I'm sure it's legal for us to do this, and I'm just want to know if the board would like to do this. And if so, would you make a motion?
We have the money, we have to do a transfer, or?
Your money's in.
Yeah,
Cemetery.
okay.
Where
No
does it come
problem.
out of?
Pardon me?
The cemetery, the sales of the cemetery plots from...
So it's just like a refund?
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly, it's a refund.
I have their deeds, the whole works, I got everything from it, and I'd rather not say whose plots they are.
Decide not to die. They decide not to
I
die.
guess.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Find out that secret bill, could you let me know?
I'm gonna look into this.
I have a memo from the highway, this is not on your agenda. From the highway superintendent, he would like to declare a Petro hopper tank, which is our gas, a gas tank. It's a 2,000-gallon Petro hopper gas tank. He's asking us to declare it a surplus.
I got a question about that.
Yes.
It's not worth anything, I'm guessing?
Well, as soon as we declare it surplus, we'll go into that.
Well, that's why I'm asking, that's why I'm asking.
Okay.
I've seen so I'm
That was
just
kind of my, I'd
curious.
sent a late email regarding that as well.
Yeah, it was a
just
late email.
legalities
I think,
and-
can we get more information about, I'd like a little more.
Well, let's make it surplus because we don't need it. We haven't used it in 4 years, ever since we got the gas carts. And there's absolutely no use for it, and it's taking up room down at the...
So I'll make the
I'll ask for a
motion to make it
motion
surplus.
Surplus, all right. Second by? Somebody?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Now, Pat has suggested that we sell it to, I think, the town of Cornwall for $1. I would like to see if there's a better way of doing things, such as putting it online for surplus and seeing what we can get for it. And if we can't get anything for it, which Pat doesn't think we can, he doesn't think it's worth anything, then we
Maybe
can go
scrap
ahead
metal.
and make friends with the town of Cornwall. So I don't even need a motion for that or anything like that. We'll put it on out for surplus and see if we can sell it. Supposedly new, it's about $2,000. This one is about 14 years old. Okay, all right?
I'd sell anything on
Okay.
Craigslist.
June, do you handle that surplus thing? Doesn't she do that? Didn't you put some things on surplus? Yeah, you did a good job. You did.
No, we sold the
Yeah, what'd you
police
sell?
car on
Police car,
Craigslist.
that's right.
Yeah.
That was me. That was me and June.
Can I give you that job?
Oh, Adrian was involved in that, let's not leave her out.
I did the post and then she did all the.
All right, well, between the two of you, will you take care of this?
Sure,
All right.
absolutely.
Okay, good job. Now, the sewer plant had its annual compliance inspection, and at the time of the inspection, the facility was operating in a satisfactory manner. Please refer to the attached copy of the inspection report and the inspector's comments. The comment that I think is important, actually, it's his only comment, it is strongly recommended to install a belt press instead of drying beds. Bill?
Okay, that's where we were heading.
And I have a letter from Al Fusco, who is the engineer on the project. He sent us all of his bills, if you will, and suggested that we sit down and talk about that subject. So I've set up a meeting, or I'm trying to set up a meeting this Thursday at 9:30 in the morning with Al here. So if anybody would like to or can make it, I'd appreciate it. And if not,
Say the date again.
9:30 Thursday morning.
Thank you.
Actually, when
Yes,
this
ma'am.
whole sewer project began, we talked about belt presses. And so I'm surprised that he waited that. I know that this comment's not from the engineer, but I'm surprised the engineer didn't pick up on that earlier.
Well, actually, I think he did, only because we were talking about, in order to have the belt press, you have to have somebody down there, like for an 8-hour shift or whatever it is. I'm not that familiar with it, but. and
When
so-
it's operating, but
Yeah.
I don't believe it operates continually. You can do it as needed.
Yeah, I would hope so. I don't know. I mean,
Yeah, it'd been advocated by, both Fusco and, well, Fusco tried to keep things the same, but once Robert talked about, the freezing, the drying, it seems like the best way to
Yeah.
move forward.
No, that's good. I don't know that much about it, so whatever the experts know, it's okay with me. I put in your packets
Dirty business.
a note from Department of Labor. That's for your information only.
Yes. Along those lines, I see we're going to executive session eventually, when we're,
I wasn't going to, but...
okay. So it doesn't have to,
Yeah, I'm sorry, it is on the agenda, and, I think we can, yes.
just one other 5-minute debrief that came out of that group
Okay.
meeting. It was more of a sidebar. It has to do with contractual and labor with the police.
Okay, good, then we can go in. I just wanted to talk a little bit more about the engineer and the project and going forward. So, I think I'm slipping a little bit because you reminded me that there's something about talking about that tonight, and I don't remember that, and
I
then,
mean, I didn't let you
and then
forget.
it's right on the agenda. Oh, boy.
I didn't let you
All right.
forget.
Any other business that's not listed on here? Is there any public comment? Any more public comment? Jim?
Good evening, Mr. Supervisor, council members. Just want to remind everybody in the town and the village that this reorganization for the local governments, the meeting that Mr. Edsel attended, Ms. Guns was at, is very important to every member of the community, not only in the village, but the town also. There's so much more that's said at these meetings than what Mr. Edsel can report to you in the Reader's Digest version, because you're limited on time. And obviously what we will hear at the village meeting, when they give their update. But I would hope that we could see more people at the October 13th meeting, so they can actually, I mean, you can't say anything there, but you can at least hear for yourself the direction that the village and the town are looking to go into with this, and some of the costs that we don't hear about. This study should be online. Do you know if they posted it yet, Bill?
That's what I'm working off of. You know,
Okay.
That's what I take notes on. You
That's-
know, so it went right online. I don't even keep a printed version because it's like 40 some odd pages. So that's why I have my iPad with me now. I keep the PDF there and
Right, this is
look
the
at
one
it.
that they handed out at the,
Yeah.
the update.
Yeah.
Okay. So I would just ask the village residents and the town residents to please go to these meetings to find out, you know, what's going to happen with the police department, and then they can ask the elected officials questions and be educated when they do that. That's all I got tonight.
Thank you, Jim. Anybody else? Public comment? I'll make a motion, we go into executive
Yeah, I got
session.
one last thing.
Well, yes,
I
sir.
forgot to mention that the O'Neill Raiders football team did a fabulous job on Friday night and in unbelievable fashion came back and got a victory, and I think that I think they're 2-0 now.
Yep.
So off to a good start, as well as a lot of the other teams at the high school there. So if you have nothing to do on Friday nights, or any other night, come out and see some of these kids play for the high school teams out there. They're doing
Friday
great.
Night Lights, huh?
Oh yeah, it's exciting.
In addition, Army won their second game,
Oh yeah, that's true.
so it was a
That
good
was-
football weekend
good
in the
football
town of
weekend for the
Highlands.
area. Football weekend.
The O'Neill Homecoming Parade is Sunday, October 2nd, 5 p.m. down Main Street.
And worth noting, both the O'Neill and the Army teams in both games were underdogs.
Wow. Impressive.
Anyway, make a motion to go into executive session to discuss contract with the engineer and, Bill, what was that you wanted to talk about?
Just some contractual things surrounding,
Contractual
you know,
consolidation, okay.
when, if you move police departments, things I think.
Do I have a
Be more
motion? I made the motion, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So carried, let's go downstairs.